Everybody, what is going on? The Catch fam. I hope you guys are doing phenomenal tonight, man. Hope you guys all have had a great weekend, and I surely hope you guys survived week 15 of the 2023 fantasy football season, first round of the fantasy playoffs. An interesting week to say the least. A lot of pain this week, but where there's a lot of pain, there's still a lot of good out there. So a lot of good fantasy performances this past weekend, as we still have Sunday night football wrapping up here between the Jaguars and the Ravens. Looking like the Ravens will be pulling off a victory here. And it does not look like there's going to be a lot of garbage time points from either the Jaguars or Ravens. And then tomorrow night, of course, we've still got the Eagles and the Seahawks. So plenty of fantasy implications in tomorrow night's game. And so some of you guys, you may not know if you have survived week 15 yet, but let me know how things are looking for you guys overall. If you think you're going to survive the first round of the fantasy playoffs or not. And of course, I'm here to answer any fantasy football questions that you guys have. Maybe Monday Night Football questions, Week 16 questions, Dynasty questions, whatever you guys need. Happy to help you guys in any way I possibly can. And as always, for tonight, we're going to talk some fantasy football and we're going to have some fun. So, I don't even know where to start. I unfortunately was not able to get on last night. I was planning on it as soon as I was about to get on. The baby, my little girl, woke up and she had a really rough night last night. I was up on and off with her till like 2:30 in the morning. So I apologize. I wanted to be on last night and be able to help you guys heading into today. And man, I don't even know how much hope I would have been because um, today just felt like a mess. Like we had so many busts across the board. Just a weird day of fantasy overall. Um, but man, let me know where you guys are at, and of course, what you guys need. And let's just kind of quickly go through as I'm getting the poll set up for the night. Uh, some of what we saw today. Okay. So Saturday night games, holy cow, Sam Laporta, Jameer Gibbs, Jared Goff. I hope they were in your starting lineups. That's basically my wrap up from Saturday. T. Higgins, a great performance. Jamar Chase, uh, with the injury, awful performance. Justin Jefferson looked pretty good. Jordan Addison looked great. Hawkinson had a good enough game. In terms of the Colts, like if you needed a streaming quarterback, I hope you were able to maybe start Gardner Minshew. Zach Moss, Michael Pittman, like full PPR, these guys still got you like at least 10 fantasy points. But man, we were expecting a lot more out of both of those guys. Najee Harris, an awful game. Deontay Johnson scored. But the main takeaway from Saturday is this Lions offense. I mean, we cannot count out this team. And really, I mean, even David Montgomery didn't score, but had a good game, right? Like, you got to start everyone on this offense. Amon-Ra St. Brown, a huge game as well. Like, man, just a absolutely dominating performance by the Lions last night. And Cortland Sutton did not score a touchdown, but he had a decent enough day in full PPR. All right, looking at today's slate of games, Giants, Saints, like there wasn't a whole lot here that, like, I mean, Barkley had an awful game. You probably weren't starting anyone else on the Giants offense unless you felt the need to start Tommy DeVito today, like I did. No comment there. I don't think Spencer's in the chat yet, but Spencer destroyed me in the Catch Fam League today, where I have been relying on CJ Stroud all year long and dropped Gardner Minshew, did not start Mitch Trubisky, and I decided to roll with Tommy DeVito kind of for fun because my team's been pretty dang good all year. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, I was expecting a big game out of Kamara. And well, he certainly didn't have a bad game, did not find the end zone, but 16 fantasy points, we'll take that all day long. But yeah, like Olave didn't play. So like there just wasn't really a lot here. Barkley had a bad game, so that was really about it. Barkley definitely looking like week 15 bust. The Bears and the Browns come away with a 3-point victory. Joe Flacco looking good. That's our guy. 374 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Did kind of come back to earth because he was sacked 4 times, had a fumble, threw 3 interceptions, but got the victory, 2 passing touchdowns, 374 passing yards. Amari Cooper found the end zone today. He had a big game. David Njoku also a massive game. Those are 2 guys that are going to be in our starting lineups moving forward. Justin Fields, a really, really bad performance today. Just not what you wanted here in the fantasy playoffs if you had to start him, and that definitely affected DJ Moore as well, who had 9.2 fantasy points, but just 11.6 fantasy points for Justin Fields on the day. Not good. I don't even want to talk about this matchup, but the Falcons and Panthers, what in the world? I mean, we knew that this was going to be a low ceiling game potentially with the weather, but oh my gosh. This is like this is one of the worst run defenses in the league in the Carolina Panthers all season long. Okay. They went into the week as the 3rd worst team against the running back position in fantasy. Bijan Robinson, 0.4 fantasy points in full PPR. Why? Just why? Tyler Algier out-touched him, outscored him in fantasy. I have nothing else to say about that matchup. I know there's other semi-relevant players, Chuba Hubbard, I don't care. Nothing else to say. Buccaneers, Packers, this was a pretty good game for fantasy. We liked a lot of the Packers players going into the week. They showed up. Mike Evans showed up. He had streamed Baker Mayfield. He had his best fantasy performance of the season at 29 points. Like I said, Mike Evans scored. Rashad White scored. So you probably feel pretty good there. Really, I mean, Chris Godwin also showed up at 25.5 fantasy points. So, really the only guy, maybe you streamed Kate Otten for some reason. But outside of that, this entire offense showed up today. And like I said, in terms of the Packers offense, most of these guys showed up as well. Jordan Love at least gave you a floor at 17 fantasy points. You definitely would want more. Aaron Jones played and actually hit double digits at 10 fantasy points in full PPR. So I guess we'll take that. Romeo Dobbs was a bust, but Jaden Reed got you 17.2 fantasy points, which we will take all day long. And Tucker Kraft continuing to be a streaming option at the tight end position. He also found the end zone. So that's a pretty dang good overall game that we got this weekend in terms of fantasy. But next up, we got the Jets and the Dolphins, and this was a disaster. If you started Breece Hall, who had 2.8 fantasy points, or if you started Garrett Wilson, who had 5.9 fantasy points. We saw a little bit of Zach Wilson. He left after 11 passing attempts with a head injury. We saw a little bit of Trevor Siemian. He sucked, and that was about it. Tyler Conklin had 5.8 fantasy points if he had to start him. On the other hand, the Dolphins offense is still good, whether Tyreek Hill is out there or not, which I think some of us were really interested to see if that, how that was going to affect this offense coming off of the loss last week. Didn't really matter. Raheem Mostert, 18 fantasy points, found the end zone twice. Devontae Chain still playing kind of a lower ceiling, 9.2 fantasy points, 9 touches, 3 receptions, but we know the upside he brings to the table, but yeah, just dominated by Mostert in the backfield. Jalen Waddle absolutely stepped up to the plate against a good Jets secondary. 9 targets, 8 receptions, 142 receiving yards, a touchdown, 28.2 fantasy points. This was a one-sided affair. It was all Dolphins. Chiefs, Patriots, once again, pretty much the usual suspects here showed up. Rashee Rice, a big game. He's the only target on this team. He's a startable wide receiver. We've been saying this for weeks. I was arguing about Rashee Rice being a start week in and week out in week 5 of the season, and he's just really stepped up to the plate as of late. 9 targets, 9 receptions, 91 receiving yards, a touchdown, 24 fantasy points. They get Vegas, then Cincinnati. That's not going to change. The Chiefs are going to want to win football games. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 20 fantasy points, found the end zone. I tried to manifest it last week. Didn't happen, but it sure did happen this week. But it's worth noting that Jerick McKinnon also a very good day, 16.1 fantasy points. And then obviously Travis Kelce, kind of a down day, 7.8 fantasy points, 28 receiving yards off of 5 receptions. But I mean, you got to start him on a week in, week out basis. Kind of a tough matchup for him against the Patriots. So, pretty good day overall if we're looking at the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, 17 fantasy points, but some of you guys out there elected to bench him this week, maybe for a streaming option. And so, well, let me know. Zeke, not so good compared to week 14. Went from 27 points to 9.6 points this past week. And I don't think you guys started anyone else on this Patriots team, so we can move right along. I'll try and go through the last couple ones here a little bit quicker, but Texans-Titans, biggest bust for me in that game, Derrick Henry. What happened? We'll move on. Niners-Cardinals, holy crap, I hope you did not have Christian McCaffrey against you. I had him against me in one league. I had him starting in another league. His second best fantasy performance of the year, with his number one fantasy performance being against the same team in week 4. The Cardinals could not contain him. 115 rushing yards, a touchdown, 72 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. Brock Purdy had a big day, 25 fantasy points. Deebo Samuel had a big day, 21 fantasy points, also 2 touchdowns. He now has 5 touchdowns in the last 3 weeks. Brandon Ayuk wasn't really needed. Kind of happens in this offense, 6.7 fantasy points. Disappointment, Kittle, 7.4 fantasy points. They get Baltimore next week. We're probably just going to continue to start any 49ers player week in and week out, no matter what. Kyler Murray, disappointing day, 15 fantasy points. Didn't really like him this week. Tough matchup. Hope he didn't start him. Hollywood Brown, what? Just 0 fantasy points. Trey McBride, encourage you guys to start him this week. The target share too good. 20 fantasy points, 11 targets, 10 receptions. Hope he was in your lineups. Commanders Rams started off pretty bleak, and then we got points in this game, so that was good. But Stafford just 18 fantasy points. I mean, he had a good day, but we were expecting a higher ceiling against this Washington Commanders defense. Kyron came through with 24.5 fantasy points, had a touchdown. Cooper Kupp came through. He had a touchdown. And kind of the odd man out this week was Puka Nacua, but in full PPR, he still got you 10 fantasy points. The Commanders, nothing really noteworthy there. Cowboys, Bills. Whew. This one was tough, man. Dak Prescott's been on such a tear. 7 fantasy points. 1 touchdown. No, I'm sorry. 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Just a bad day. No other way to put it. Everyone else here basically affected. Tony Pollard, 7.7 fantasy points. CeeDee Lamb had that rushing touchdown. He came through with 18 fantasy points, also had 53 receiving yards off of 7 catches. So I guess that's okay. Jake Ferguson, 10 fantasy points, but man, it just felt like a really disappointing day for the Cowboys, and I know that definitely impacted some of you guys out there. Josh Allen, kind of a down day, 16 fantasy points. I mean, really, this was the James Cook show. He had 36 fantasy points, 179 yards on the ground, 42 yards through the air, 2 total touchdowns. A massive, massive day for James Cook. Stephon Diggs, though, he's given you single digits 4 times in the past 5 weeks, 8.8 fantasy points. Should bounce back against the Chargers next week, but I'm a little worried about my boy Diggs. And then Dalton Kincaid, another low ceiling game. I wouldn't even call it that. I mean, just a floor game, 7 fantasy points. Just a tough week to own Dalton Kincaid. Still a tough player to bench, but ceiling's been really low as of late. And then we just wrapped up the Ravens and Jaguars. Lamar Jackson at least got you through with 19.5 fantasy points. But man, Keaton Mitchell got hurt. At least he gave you 10 fantasy points. Gus the Bus came through, 13 fantasy points, found the end zone after not finding the end zone in his last 2 games. Zay Flowers did nothing. Odell Beckham did nothing against this awful Jaguars secondary. But man, Isaiah Likely, 18 fantasy points, 70 receiving yards off of 5 catches and a touchdown. He's got to be a start moving forward, even against the Niners and the Dolphins. Last but not least, the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence, tried to get some garbage time points, didn't really do so, but 14 fantasy points. He did throw a touchdown today. Just a down day for him. ETN got you at least 9.9 in full PPR. Ridley got you 8.9. Evan Ingram, 6.8. Just a down day for the Jaguars. Overall, they will look to bounce back next week against the Buccaneers. Then they get the Panthers and the Titans. These are all must-win games for the Jaguars at this point in the season. So I still believe in them. That's my off-season team. So there's the rundown. Let's talk some fantasy football, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know how things are looking in week 15 for you. When I get the chance, I will show you how everything is looking for myself. I have some pain today, and I have some victories. But I have some pain for sure. So we'll get to it. And most of that pain is suffered from you guys. All right. Good to see your Warrior Loft. What's up, Ghost Hunter? Had one buy, and the one I did not survive. I'm afraid we're going to get some pain in the chat tonight. Do I sit Ridley for Amari next week? Let's see here. The Browns next week. I mean, they get the Texans. I probably would. They're on the road. On the other hand, the Jaguars. Oh man, that's tough. The Jaguars get the Bucks. I think I might start Ridley against the Bucks. This Bucks secondary is so bad. For now, I think I have Ridley in, but Amari, I mean, I don't know. They're kind of lateral. They're pretty close. So, but matchup-wise, I like Ridley. I'm only down 10 in my main ESPN league in a 2-week matchup. Nice. Yeah, I like those 2-week matchups. David, I had Bijan. I need A.J. Brown to put up 13.2. Do you think he gets it? I do. It's kind of tough right now, though, because, like, we don't know if Jalen Hurts going to play or not. I mean, he's been downgraded to questionable with his illness. Apparently got worse overnight. So I don't really know that impacts this game, but on paper, I'm expecting points in this game. Like, let's say Hurts plays and is like 50 to 70%. I mean, I don't know. Like Brown, Devonta Smith, DeAndre Swift, Metcalf, maybe Lockett and JSN. Like, you look at the matchups across the board. Everyone should have a pretty good day. Like, I'm a little bit worried about Kenneth Walker. At the moment, I'm worried about Jalen Hurts. And then I even kind of like whoever starts at quarterback for the Seahawks tomorrow. So I think A.J. Brown, let's say Hurts doesn't play, the volume is still going to be there. The matchup's there. So you should be good in PPR. Yeah, full PPR. Let's see here. Had a bye, but may have lost Chase and Pittman for next week. Yes, for some of you guys out there, the bye week, like, I mean, it helped you because you didn't have to play, of course, but you suffered a lot of pain in the bye week as well because we still had injuries this week. Only down 10, starting both Kincaid and Najee. Nice. And then you said your opponent had Cook and Chiron. Yeah. So being down 10, not too bad. Albert, what's up, dude? Yeah, T-Law towards the end, I mean, had an opportunity to get 1 or 2 scores in there, right? Had Waller on my bench just to see what he did. Yeah. At least he didn't start Tommy DeVito. What defenses do you like next week? Good question. So, looking ahead here, I mean, the Commanders-Jets matchup, like, I have a feeling, especially if Zach Wilson isn't good to go, like, I mean, I don't really feel confident in either of these defenses, but you might be able to stream either defense and get some points next week. So keep an eye on that. Browns, Texans, keep an eye on the status of CJ Stroud. That could be an opportunity too, but I feel like Stroud's probably going to play. Packers, Panthers, you could probably throw the Packers out there. Why not? Let's see here. Colts, Falcons. We could probably continue to roll with the Colts. They're a pretty decent streaming option. Cowboys, Dolphins, very interesting there. You could probably start either of those defenses. Cardinals, Bears, probably some sort of opportunity there, but I can't trust either of those defenses right now. Raiders, Chiefs, I think you can start the Chiefs at home next week. Broncos, Patriots, I think you can start the Broncos, even though they got lit up last night. Eagles defense against the Giants next week, I'm probably good with. Ravens, Niners, I mean, you can probably get a floor on both of those defenses. Alex, what's going on, man? I won this week. Last week of season, my Yahoo League. I ended 12-3 through the year. Gonna buy next week. Debo killed it as well as Waddle. Let's go, man. Yeah, happy to help you this week. And interesting to get to buy next week, but let's go, man. Jags got dealt some bad hands. Yeah. I still think they're gonna win that division. I've been sticking by the Jaguars like since the preseason. I think they're going to win that division. But I think they dropped with the loss tonight. They dropped to like a 50% chance. Like 3 weeks ago, they were like an 86% chance. So um, we'll see what happens. The Titans are now eliminated with that loss today. The Texans are still in the mix. So, yeah, did the Ravens score more points since I started streaming? Yeah, Cowboys just not a good day. Wacko for Flacco has saved my day. Great streaming option. Do I set Bijan or Pollard next week for James Cook? Yes, just set them both. Only start James Cook. I mean, if you did that this week, you would have been fine. I mean, seriously, I don't know what to do with Bijan at this point. It's a good matchup at home against the Colts next week. It was a great matchup this week. I don't know what to do. You can start him, but Pollard gets the Dolphins. Like, not a good matchup, not a bad matchup. They looked very good against the run today, but that was with Zach Wilson and Trevor Siemian and helping the offense they were facing. So I would probably start Bijan just purely based on matchup here on Sunday night before Week 15 has ended. I guess I would go Bijan, but you could go Pollard. I cannot believe what we got out of the Falcons today. Buccaneers game, I had Evans and Rashad White, only played White. Yeah, I know a lot of people sat Evans because last week he was basically a bust, but he's just one of those guys. Like, you got to start him, right? Arthur Smith, he's the cause of all Falcons fans suffering and all fantasy players, unless you face him. Face Bijan. What's up, Mateo? Thank God for CMC. Yeah, no kidding. For week 16, start Pollard, Zeke, or JT. I would probably still start Pollard here. I don't know if I'm going to trust Zeke. I mean, the Broncos got torched on the ground. But this game's on the road. I mean, you could always start JT. I mean, they are the Colts are right there in the playoff mix. They're not on the bubble. They are in the playoffs. They're on the road against the Falcons. I mean, I think you can start JT if you like him more. See how Staley loses his job, but Arthur Smith somehow keeps his. I'd argue that losing the Panthers is worse than losing 63-21 to the Raiders. I mean, you can obviously see the team not behind Brandon Staley in that loss. Like, at least the Falcons game was close. But from what I've heard, the murmurs are that Arthur Smith's job is safe after this season. So, Warriorloft says pick two of these. I'd probably go JT and Pollard. I don't know if I can trust Zeke. I mean, I get it. There's a big game last week, but I just don't know. Any running back waiver wire prospects? Let me get them pulled up here. But, I mean, with how many injuries we're seeing on a week-to-week basis, like, there's always somebody. Hold on. Let me get my list pulled up for you guys. If this will load. Obviously, Ty Chandler. Yeah, Ty Chandler. I wonder what his percentage rostered is. I feel like it's probably pretty high with. I mean, we got the news on Madison pretty late, so it's at 56% on Sleeper. That's not awful, but certainly not great. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jerick McKinnon still continue to be up there. Zamir White, we can take a look at, but I mean, there's a chance that Jacobs is back next week. I guess we could look at Trey Sermon, Tyler Goodson on the Colts, but I don't feel great. Tyler Algier. I mean, you got the Bears running backs. I mean, the top ads are going to be Ty Chandler, CH, Jerick McKinnon, Zamir White. Chase Brown is still someone you can throw in there and cross your fingers if he's available. But yeah, that's about it. A little bit bleak. Does the number one seed play the lowest seed that advances? Generally speaking, yes, but every league is different. Thank you for the CH suggestion once again. Good. Glad. I'm glad you started him. I have Hertz left. How would you handle the quarterback situation? Also have Geno and Locke on my bench. Well, you're going to know by the time that the game starts whether Hertz is out or not. It's a good matchup for either side. I would probably just start Hertz if he starts. If not, just obviously go with the Seahawks quarterback that plays. Spence, what's up, bro? Congrats on beating me today. I will hold this L with glory. Love McBride, also, he's been good for me. He's been killing it. No love for Scary Terry this week, man. It's rough out there in Washington. Yeah, I just had to skip over the Commanders completely, but 26.1 fantasy points, 141 receiving yards, and a tutty. Curtis Samuel had a good game too. There are some good garbage time points, and I mean, still some good performances offensively. But I hate talking about the Commanders. What do you think about Dak rest of the season? I'm okay with Dak. I'm not worried about it. I'll start Dak. That's fine. Septifist, what's up? I'm up 52.7. My opponent has Swift left. You'll be good. I think Swift's gonna have a good game, but you'll be good. Dak or Goff the rest of the way. Listen, Goff indoors is a different man. Goff at home indoors is a different man. They're at Minnesota. They're at Dallas. These are two tough road matchups. This Minnesota Vikings defense not bad. They're not great, but they're not bad. I think you could start Goff. It's going to be hard to bench him and start Dak going into next week. But I like Dak more. He's at Miami. Not great. If you want to go Goff this week, that's okay. They're both on the road. Week 17, Dak is at home against the Lions. I like that matchup for Dak. So if you really have to pick one, I guess I'd just go Dak, but I think you can continue to roster both. Don't want to get ahead of myself, but I think I'm going to the championship. Let's go, baby. 1/10 because I played against Bijan. Nice. Is James Cook an RB1 in the playoffs? Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, really on most rosters, he's probably still an RB2, but yeah, for sure. Can't believe I survived Eckler's performance. I mean, Eckler, Bijan, Barkley, Henry, Brees Hall. Tough week. Some big names at running back. Got one more week in my other league with Mahomes, and I'm up 18 week, 2 rounds next. Oh, wait. Mahomes, 18 week 2 in round 1 is next week. I just butchered that, so moving on. You'll survive. I believe in you, Alex. Survived a bad week from A-Chain, Javonte, and OBJ. Thank you, CMC, Waddle, and Laporta. Yeah, there are just some massive fantasy performances this past week. I had Bijan, Eckler, Pittman, Garrett Wilson. Oof. Yeah. I mean, but like, how are you supposed to set any of these guys? It's just tough. My opponent is Josh Allen. I am Mahomes. He also is CeeDee Lamb. I'll go into next week. You'll probably be okay. Hard to say. I know somebody started DeVito. Yeah, that's why I keep mentioning it. I did bring it up at the beginning of the stream. Don't worry, Spence. Don't worry. Yeah, I mean, I literally dropped Minshew, did not start Trubisky. I really just honest to God, Spence. Even if I started Minshew, which would have been the best streaming option, because I didn't have Stroud. I don't think it would have mattered. I think you outscored me regardless. Like you said the better week. But I really just wanted the opportunity to say I beat you with Tommy DeVito. This would have been 10 times funnier. So it's all good. I hope you win the league now. But yeah, if we let you win League One back to back, that's going to be a problem. Might come down to you and Steven. My league where I had a bye had no major injuries, which concerns me. Could be next week, right? I want to say I'm fading Atlanta next season until Arthur Smith leaves. I'm okay with that. I might be there with you as much as I love Bijan. Tommy, what's up? Can't say just saying what's up. Bijan Kincaid screaming dynasty, sitting Goff. Down a few versus Steven. There's still time for Steven to lose. It's not over till it's over. But man, he had a great lead too. If it makes you feel any better, all my Best Ball Mania teams got eliminated. I was 5 points away too. Dak didn't play like crap. Oh man. Yeah. Dak screwed a lot of people today. In the league where I got eliminated this week, it's a 2-keeper league, though, where Tyreek and CD. I should be using those keepers on them. Yes, for sure. Do I start McBride over Hawk next week? Probably. Like my argument all week long, even in a tough matchup against the Niners, just that the volume is crazy for McBride. That's not going to change next week. I don't think. I mean, maybe I shouldn't be too confident, but I doubt it will. They play the Bears. Hawkinson, a great matchup this past week. Another good matchup next week at home against the Lions. I would probably go with McBride. I think there's more upside, but both are fine. Don't really have any obvious other options. So either way, I got what I wanted out of the season. Yeah, I mean, you got 2 great keepers for sure. I'm up 157 to 51. He has Walker, AJ, and Devonta. You should be good. I mean, generally, it's still tough for 3 players to score 100 points. So, I mean, they need 106. I think he'll be okay. Should I play Garrett Wilson against Washington or Olave if he plays, or Collins or Ridley? I mean, I think you can probably divert back to Garrett Wilson at home against Washington. I know that's might be tough to do after this past week, but I think you can. And on the other hand, I think Olave is always startable. He gets the Thursday night game against the Rams, so who knows if he plays. Collins, let's just wait and see what Collins' status is and Stroud's status is before he plays. But I will tell you, I do like Ridley against the Bucs. I mean, Washington and Tampa Bay, 2 of the teams we want to start wide receivers against. So those would be the guys I would be eyeing heavily. And I know it's tough, but I think you can start both of them next week. Thinking maybe Olave, if he's better, it's a bummer he couldn't play today. Yeah. I don't hate him against the Rams, but I think there might be more upside with the other 2 guys. Just a pondering question. Standard Dynasty League, do you think McBride is a real deal? He should be kept over Mark Andrews. Depends. Jacob says, as long as Kyler's there, yeah. I mean, it's close. I mean, if you're a young team, just keep it young. I mean, whether you're contending or not, I mean, you can definitely. I mean, long term, right now, I think I'd rather have McBride. And yes, I think it is a big impact whether Kyler's there or not. So I probably lean McBride. Andrew's getting up there, right? Down by 3, got Kenneth, and he's got DK. Could I pull the high stuff? You always can. You never know. It's never over till it's over. So maybe, but DK's got a great matchup. Walker's got a far tougher matchup. Yeah, major upset, J-Dubs, but there's still time for you to lose. Don't you have 2 players left? They could have negative points. What's up, buddy? Hop, good to see you, bro. Whole squad showed up. Let's go. Bench Fields for Russ, Kamara, Chuba, Debo, Zay Flowers. Yeah, he sucked. Hawkinson, James Cook, Zay Jones, Saints defense. I'm up by 20 versus AJ Brown. Ooh, that's gonna be close. We're wishing you luck, man. Good vibes. That might be close, though. Maybe Hurts doesn't play, but we'll see, man. We'll see. Good to see you, Brisky. Down 11, I have DK. My opponent has Lockett. Need a fantasy miracle. That could happen. I mean, Lockett could have a crappy game, and DK could absolutely show up against. But this is a good matchup for both guys. So cross our fingers for you. Wishing you luck. Thoughts about flexing McBride over Javonte, Najee, Chuba, Drake Less? Yes. I would do that. Sure. I mean, there's a couple of these tight ends, even the guys like Dalton Kincaid, Evan Ingram, David Njoku. These guys can be flexed at this point in the season. We know what the volume's like. You risk, them having a game like Dalton Kincaid had this past week, but we also know what their role is in their respective offense. And out of all those guys, I probably like McBride the best, although David Njoku is looking like an absolute madman these days. So, I don't know. All right, so bottom of the chat. Let's look at my fantasy matchups. All right, let me see here. Let's see how bad it was for me. All right, let me start from the bottom. J-Dubs ahead of me by 10 points. Dak Prescott just crap in the bed for me. Derrick Henry crap in the bed for me. Just awful. Brandon Ayuk a down game. Pat Fryermuth, he hasn't even been that good. It was a good matchup for him. Zay Flowers crap the bed for me. Jerome Ford crap the bed for me. I had McKinnon on the bench. I had Robinson, who I picked up on the bench. Everett Conklin could have been started over Fryermuth. This is Dynasty, by the way. This is bad for me because I have one pick next year. It's a third-round pick. This is the main team that I went in just like all in for the year. And this is one of those risks that you take. J-Dub still has Lockett left. So I'm hoping that he has negative 10 points. You know, I've never seen it happen, but you never know. So congrats, J-Dubs, for knocking me out. And thank you, Prescott and Henry. You guys are my main culprits. It was looking pretty good. I mean, I had St. Brown early, Fryermuth, whatever, but feeling good last night with St. Brown. But congrats, man. Happy for you. I was on bye week in this league in the toilet bowl. Here's a victory in Dynasty. And this is another team where, I actually have picks in this league. So that's good. But I just started Jake Browning. This is a single quarterback league. And so what happened in this league is I just lost Justin Herbert. And yeah, that's exactly what happened. So I thought I had another quarterback hanging around, but I didn't. But good win here. A lot of points. Talks accidentally started Josh Jacobs, but it wouldn't have mattered. But Jake Browning, Rashad White, Mostert, Pittman, Rasheed Rice, St. Brown, Hawkinson, still have Swift left. Started Chiron. Had McKinnon on the bench. Noah Brown showed up, but didn't start him. So good win there. On bye in this league. Auction league, I am out of the playoffs, but I beat Michael, so that's all that matters. Here's a win, but out of the playoffs doesn't matter. Bye week in this league. Bye week in this league. Lost to Spencer. If Spencer's still here you go, Spence. You destroyed me. Yeah, even if I started like Gardner Minshew, that would have been 13 more fantasy points. I don't think it would have mattered. I mean, Stafford, CMC, Rashad White, Pittman, Waddle, Kelsey. You even started Hollywood Brown, Chuba. You started Dallas's defense, and you still beat me. So, now, I mean, I started the week with the Raiders defense, so I felt pretty good. So, McManus had negative points. Odell did nothing. I mean, I still have Swift and A.J. Brown, so you never know. You never know, okay? So let's just hold our horses there. I have a 1% chance of winning, but you never know. Okay. Here's a loss to Shane. Although I do have Kenneth Walker, but I don't feel as confident there. Shane, you didn't even start a kicker. I had Jordan Love, Rashad White. I have Walker left. Lamb, Wilson, Ferguson, DJ Moore, Zay Flowers, Hopkins, Atlanta's defense. Yeah. Singletary's on the bench. Wilson crap the bed. DJ Moore, not a great game. Zay Flowers crap the bed. It is what it is. These things happen. But I have a 13% chance of winning still. Another loss. I had a lot of pain today. I started Purdy, still have Swift left, A-Chain, Sutton, St. Brown, Komet, DJ Moore, Diggs, Hopkins, Falcons defense. So reverse showed up fashion. He had Mostert, Mixon, Cook and Higgins. Niners defense, Justin Tucker. Good win there. And here's a victory, but this is not the playoffs. This is a league that I missed the playoffs by one game. And here's my revenge game against J-Dubs where I I don't. You still have Metcalf left, and I have Swift. So I don't know. I feel pretty confident in this lead, though. I had Love, McCaffrey, still have Swift to play, Waddle, Sutton, McBride, Odell, T Law in the super flex. So we'll see what happens here, but I feel pretty good here. So J Dubs knocked me out of the Dynasty League, and it looks like I will be headed to play the number 1 seed, which of course is Michael next week. So a lot of pain this week, but I made it through in some leagues. So these things happen. Jackie, need 2 of Eckler, Jacobs, Javante, Chandler, and Zeke next week. Let's quickly pull up some matchups because, man, do we trust Eckler right now? I don't know. I like Chandler's. Yeah, as long as Madison is out. I like Chandler going into this past week. He gets the Lions at home. It's a tougher matchup. This is such a weird running back room. Like, is Jacobs even going to play? He's on the road against the Chiefs. Do we trust Eckler? What do we do with Javante? There's like no ceiling. Broncos are at home against the Patriots. It looked awful I won't say awful. They looked bad this past week though. Zeke did next to nothing. I'd probably just go Eckler and Ty Chandler at this point in the week. That's who I feel the best about, but I don't feel good about really any of these guys. And I think this is going to be these are going to be some decisions that over the week are going to evolve in one direction or another. Just Jacob's injury. How do we really feel about the Chargers this week? I don't know if I feel good. Is Ramondre healthy? Is Madison healthy? You got a lot of factors here. David says, I am down by a point. Opponent is A.J. Brown playing. I'm choosing between Devonta or DK. Who is more upside? Woo! I think DK Metcalf has more upside is what I would say. I think DK Metcalf has more upside. Eagles, one of the worst secondaries in the league. They're a little banged up as well. Darius Slay is not going to play. I like Devonta Smith this week, but the other problem here, like in determining upside, is that we don't know if Jalen Hurts is going to play, and then we don't know if Geno Smith is going to play. Like we don't know what the quarterback situation is here. So I really like Devonta Smith right now, but I would lean DK. This is a great matchup for him. I will go DK. What do you think, David? Zappy says 12-2, number 1 seed, losing to the 8th seed. Everyone but CMC took the week off of my team. Need a huge day from Hurts and AJ Brown, and need Swift to have a bad game. You never know. These things can happen. That's the beauty of it. So I think Swift will have a good game, unfortunately, but see how high the ceiling is, and then we got to figure out what's happening with Hurts. But I do like AJ Brown kind of regardless. So wishing you luck. Crossing our fingers for you, man. We're benching Najee this week. Yeah. Just get him just gross. Yes, we're benching him. I think Christian Watson's good to go next week. It's really hard to tell with, that type of injury and everything. So I certainly hope so. But with the hamstring injury where that's already been hurt earlier in the season, it's really hard to tell, man. Really hard to say. I hope so, though. If JT and B-Rob are healthy, I'm starting them. Najee will not see my lineup. Yeah, I would rather have both of those guys coming off an injury in my lineup other than Najee. So, yeah, just gross, man. Just gross. All right, so let's see here. Wanted to pull up my underdog teams for you guys as well, because at the moment I have a couple advancing, but it's not loading. Leaning DK as well. It's a coin flip. Yeah, I like DK, but I don't dislike Devonta Smith. You know what I mean? It's tough. Thoughts on Drake London versus the Colts? A desperation start would be what I have to say. I just don't trust Drake London. Told you guys going into this past week, I don't trust him. 4.4 fantasy points. I mean, the Colts haven't been, like, the beginning of the season, they were really poor secondary. They haven't been bad the past couple games. So they haven't been great, but they haven't been bad. I mean, if you have to start him and it's full PPR, that's fine, but expect disappointment. What's your top 10 order 2024? That's a good question. I think right now, probably Tyreek Hill, CMC. Like, how are we going to not have those guys in the top 2? Probably still putting JJ next, Chase, Brown, Lamb. You guys know I kind of gravitate towards wide receivers. Amon-Ra, Bijan, probably still in there. Jahmyr Gibbs. I think Gibbs got to be pretty high. And, man, I feel like I need to go with another running back. It's just crazy. Like, are we going to draft Mostert or Kyron Williams top 10? Probably not. We're going to draft James Cook or Devon Shane. The 10th spot's tough. Diggs probably not there. Adams not there. Waddle not there. Garrett Wilson. Is Aaron Rodgers going to force Garrett Wilson back into the top 10? Like, there's a lot of names. Debo, Ayuk, Devonta Smith, DJ Moore. Tough to say. Like, we're going to have a big drop at running back. Like, guys like Eckler, Chubb, Barkley, Henry, Jacobs, Pollard, ETN, Mixon, Ramondre. A lot of these guys are going to drop back really far. I still think, I mean, ETN has not had a bad season. Was still the RB3 going into this past week. JT is going to take a step back in rankings. Walker. Where are we going to draft Kamara next year? Like, what is his value? Like, is Swift going to be an Eagle? Like, where are we going to draft Rachaad White? Rachaad White's probably, maybe Rachaad White's my number 10. Yeah, obviously I haven't thought about this. There's players that will be drafted next year. I had Bijan, Kincaid, and Flowers play. Crazy thing is, I'm still probably going to win. Out of these guys, who's the real concern moving forward? Bijan, because of the coaching staff, right? Flowers, like, has never been more than like a flex play for me because he is inconsistent. But 2 big matchups coming up for the Ravens, so I would say Bijan. Didn't start him, but started OBJ. If Watson doesn't play, those are my options, or look for someone off waivers. Noah Brown. Yeah, Brown is out there. He's fine, but just keep in mind, like, he had added volume because Nico Collins didn't play. But, yeah, with Tank Delhurt, you can still go after Brown. Yeah, Brees, probably somewhere in there. My 1.1 is CMC. Target's my 1.2. Yeah, those are fair. Yeah, maybe Tank Dell. I don't know if Tank Dell will be top 10, but top 20 potentially. Sam Laporta looking like a round 2 to 3. Yeah. Sam Laporta, if the season ended today, would probably be the arguably number 1 tight end off the board next year. Zane Etienne really sold for me, down 2 points, but still have DK. Oh, you'll be fine. If it's just DK, you should be fine. Crazy to ask, but Kelsey are likely next week. Ghost Hunter asks, why not both? That could be an option. Man. I'd probably still start Kelsey. But yeah, you can start both of these guys. I just don't. This is a big game at home for the Chiefs. He had a good game last time they played the Raiders. He's, still a top 5 tight end, the tight end 3 going in this past week. But Isaiah Likely's target share is really, really, really promising right now. And I don't even mind the matchup. The Trey McBride just had a huge day against the Niners, so I think I still lean Kelsey, but you can definitely start both. All right, here's Carl's top 10. CMC, Tyreek, Chase, Lamb, JJ Brown, Bijan, Diggs, Amon-Ra, Kyron, Garrett Wilson, JT. Fair enough. I mean, trust me, as soon as the season ends, we'll start mock drafting again. People call me crazy for it, but we do it all off season long. And I will have you guys join a mock draft for me. It'll be a ton of fun. And we'll be dissecting this all off season long and just watching it change. People move up and down. It's literally my favorite thing about fantasy is the off season mock drafting. Some people hate it, but everyone who mock drafted with us throughout the regular season, or excuse me, throughout the off season last year, especially those of you guys who started mock drafting with me during the Super Bowl week, like you just are so much more prepared the following season. Good streaming defenses for next week. Got the Falcons and Chiefs. Yeah, I like both those teams. If you got both those guys, you should be good. I think the Chiefs will have a good defensive week next week. A-Chain, Mostart, 13 and 14. Yeah, I don't know if Mostart, what his contract is like, but he's back with the Dolphins. Why not? He's going to be drafted the highest, Kelsey, Andrews, or Laporta. I think, honestly, you'll get a split between Laporta and Kelsey. It kind of depends on how Kelsey finishes out this season, but I think, like, kind of similar to this past year, the year before, it's like some people want Kelsey, some people want Laporta. I still think, if Kelsey finishes out the season in strong fashion, which even if he doesn't, he still has 896 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns so far on the season. Like, he is the tight end 3. It's going to be the first year in his career since 2015 where he potentially doesn't finish as a tight end 1 or the tight end 2. But I do think that for the most part, Kelsey and Laporta will be ahead of Andrews, believe it or not. Might depend on Taylor Swift. This could be true. Could be true. All right, so let me pull up. I actually have a couple underdog teams as well, since we went through all my playoff wins and losses. I don't know why I'm always so bad at finding things. I'm just so used to doing this on my phone. All right, so here we go. All right, so this team at the moment is advancing, and I feel pretty good about this team. So I got Russ, Kyler, and Brock. So Brock, my starter for this week. I got C-Mac, Gibbs, Pacheco. And that's really everyone worth mentioning. So C-Mac and Gibbs, my starters this week. I need Devonta Smith to show up. I'm in number 1 place right now for the week, but I still feel like I need a good game out of Devonta Smith to feel confident. But I have Debo, Jerry Jeudy, Zay Flowers, Josh Palmer. So right now, Debo and Palmer and Jeudy are my starters. But C-Mac helped me a lot, and Gibbs helped me a lot. And then I have Trey McBride as my starter, tight end, also Goddard. So I feel pretty good about this team. Like, I got Brock with C-Mac and Debo, which, like, right now is lethal. Trey McBride at tight end. You're starting 3 wide receivers in this, by the way. So I feel pretty good about this squad. Like, my other team did not make it through, unfortunately, because of Dak, basically. This had a Dak and CD stack. I felt good about it. It's fine. It's gone. But yeah, this team looks like it's going to advance, but like it's hard to say because the number 2 team also has Devonta Smith. It's just hard to say, but the top 3 still advance, and that's all that matters. You just win less for the week if you're not number 1, which as long as you get to the next week, I don't really care. But so I got that team advancing at the moment. This team in the puppy looks pretty solid too. I got Goff and Sam Howell at quarterback. C-Mac, Pacheco, James Cook, Devontae Shane, Devonta Smith, Debo, DJ, Dotson, Flowers, Shaheed, Kittle, Laporta at tight end. So this week, my starters are Goff, C-Mac, and Cook. Debo, DJ Moore, Rashid Shaheed at the moment, but obviously Devonta Smith can step up as well. And then Laporta at tight end. So I'm number one right now. I mean, the number two team doesn't look like they have really any Eagles or Hawks players. So they got Kenneth Walker, but we'll see what happens. That's kind of the problem with checking these. There's one more game left. And then here's another team. Goff, Purdy, Swift, White, Monty, A-Chain, McKinnon, Adam St. Brown, Debo, Drake London, Ayuk, Hodgins, Palmer, Sam Laporta, and Michael Mayer. I feel really good about this team. For this week, Goff, White, McKinnon are my starters. Swift can step up and take one of those spots. And then Devontae Adams, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Devo, Samuel, my starters, and then Sam Laporta. So this team did really well this week. Really well. But we'll kind of see how things shape out. And then I think those are really the only teams worth going over. I don't think I have any other teams advancing, but there might be one hidden in here somewhere. I mean, while we're here, I might as well just check. This team's in third, so it can advance. This is super flex. So Goff and Sam Howell. I mean, Goff is the only reason I'm in third place. C-Mac and White are starting. Oh, it's super flex. So I think someone can take Sam Howell's spot. I think it might have Chuba taking Howell's spot. So my wide receivers did nothing. JJ and DJ Moore. I think you only start two wide receivers in this, then Cole Kmet. I don't know. Yeah, that team, we'll see what happens next week if it advances. And then, neither of these teams are advancing at the moment. So, yeah, those first three teams actually look like pretty solid builds. And weekly winners, I've done nothing this year. The number one team for weekly winners this week was Jared Goff, C-Mac, James Cook, Addison, McLaurin, Higgins, and Laporta. $20,000. So, all right, there's my update on best ball for you guys. I'm definitely going to be mocking with y'all more this year. I was only able to a little bit last year, but it's going to be so much more difficult. I love my mock draft season. Does JT come back this week? It's definitely a possibility with where this team is in the playoff hunt for sure. Honestly, don't mind if Kincaid finishes the year off slow because his stock for next year's draft will go down. Think he'll be at a nice price. Yeah, I like Kincaid going into next year for sure. Especially if maybe something gets switched up at wide receiver for the Bills. We'll see. Are we going to be looking to target Chubb next year if he looks like he's going to drop because he's coming off injury? Yeah, I mean, he could be a guy who goes in like the 4th or 5th round, honestly. J-Dub's glad you made it past the first round. I am glad too. We'll see what happens next week. That's kind of the big week, right? I mean, every week it just gets bigger as each week goes on, but it's like, yeah. I feel like if you get past week 15, that's obviously huge, but if you can get past week 16, I mean, that's pretty dang big, right? So it's just hard to say, man. It's so unpredictable on a week-to-week basis. So you just kind of got to take it for what it is and move forward. So, because let me see here, it doesn't. None of these go through week 18, right? Yeah, they're just through week 17. So it's so hard to say, and there's so many entries. It's so hard to say, but I appreciate it, man. I'm crossing my fingers. That's all you can do. I want Brees for next year. His stock is sure to tank. Yeah, maybe Rodgers is coming back and healthy. Maybe he plays next week. So maybe the stock won't drop. But I'm fine with Hall. I was fine with Hall going into this year. Definitely going to limit my Best Ball Mania entries to do small contests. I did more of that this past year. 1 of 16 is too brutal. Hey, man, maybe that one entry is the one. You never know. I'm going to draft Bijan next year. I'm selling him after the first good game if Arthur Smith's still around. Yeah. I'm down by 19 with Brown and Goddard. You should be good. The big question for you is, does Hurts play or not? But you should be good. We're definitely crossing our fingers and wishing you luck. Absolutely. All right, guys, made it to the bottom of the chat, and we are an hour in. So we will go ahead and wrap up for the night. So as always, thank you guys for coming out, talking some fantasy football, asking me fantasy questions, and of course, giving me an update on how things turned out for you guys here in week 15. So congrats to anyone advancing to week 16. Congrats to those of you who have a shot based on Monday Night Football. And congrats, even if you did not make it past week 15, because you made it through the fantasy season and you can now rest. But it's a long season, guys, and there's a lot that goes into winning and losing in fantasy, including a lot of luck. So somehow snuck out of the first round, Stevenson or Bijan next week. I like Bijan. Based on matchup right now, that's what I'm going to look at. I'll go Bijan. Have a good night, Bruce. Hit the like button or you'll be stuck starting Atlanta Falcons players next week. Oh, man. So, yeah, hit the like, subscribe if you guys are new, do all the YouTube stuff. Instagram and Discord are down below. You guys know what it is. So, everyone be safe. Have a great start to your week. Have a great Monday. I should be back on tomorrow night. Check back in with you guys, see how things went after Monday Night Football and week 15 officially wrapping up. So, you guys stay safe. Have a great start to the week, like I just said. And I'm hoping for plenty of fantasy victories based off of Monday Night Football, if that's what you guys need. And if not, I hope for plenty of fantasy victories next week in week 16. Or in the toilet bowl or wherever you guys are at this point in the season. So, love you guys, man. Love this community. Love the Catch fam. I will talk to you guys soon. With that, I will say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, yes, Odd here on the Catch. And peace.